What if the love of your life shows up at the absolute worst time, and then years later, when you're finally ready, they show up again at an even worse time? That's my story, or at least, the most painful chapter. It started when I was just 18. Most kids my age in Quezon City were planning college parties, dreaming about prom. Me, I was juggling shifts at a busy call center, trying to figure out how to stretch my meager salary, 6 younger siblings, a single mom doing her best, but it wasn't enough. So I became the breadwinner who worked, the one who put food on the table, paid for school supplies, kept the lights on. My childhood ended pretty fast, and that's where I met Fred, my first true nemesis. He was loud, a bit arrogant, always cracking jokes when I was drowning in calls and stress. He embodied everything I couldn't be: carefree, unburdened, living without a crushing weight on his shoulders. We worked the night shift, which meant endless hours of dealing with cranky customers and even crankier supervisors. One particularly awful night, everything went wrong at once. My headset died, my computer froze, and I felt this wave of pure, crushing despair wash over me. I remember tears pricking my eyes, threatening to spill over. I just wanted to disappear, to vanish from that noisy, stressful room. Then, out of nowhere, Fred was there, not with a sarcastic comment, but with a quiet, concerned look on his face. He didn't make a big deal of it. He just quietly flagged down IT, then handed me a fresh pack of tissues. He even brought me a cup of lukewarm coffee from the break room, which I usually despised, but that night, it felt like a lifeline. He just sat beside me, not saying a word, until my system was back up and running. He didn't try to fix it, he just was there. It was such a small gesture, but in that chaotic, overwhelming moment, it was absolutely everything. From that night, things shifted. Our sarcastic banter, which used to be a defense mechanism, slowly turned into genuine conversations during our breaks. He'd ask about my day, not just about work, but about my life, my family. He actually listened when I talked about my siblings, about the struggles at home. He never judged, never offered empty advice. He just listened, and sometimes, he'd share little stories about his own family, showing me a vulnerability I hadn't expected. He started bringing me snacks he knew I liked, those cheap chocolate bars I'd sometimes sneak, leaving them on my desk before my shift started. Little things, but they spoke volumes. My hatred for him slowly, reluctantly, morphed into something else entirely. I found myself looking forward to our shifts together. His smile, his silly jokes, suddenly didn't annoy me. They made me laugh, genuinely laugh, for the first time in what felt like forever. He was a bright spot in a very gray life. It was about 3 months after the incident when he finally made his move. We were leaving work, the pre-dawn quiet of Quezon City around us. He stopped me by the jeepney stop, his hands shoved awkwardly in his pockets. He looked a little nervous, which was adorable. He stammered something about how he really liked me, how he wanted to take me out properly, to court me. My heart just did flips. Every part of me screamed, yes. I imagined dates, holding hands at the mall, going to the movies like normal teenagers. My head was screaming yes, my heart was soaring. But my life was screaming a resounding, painful no. How could I commit to a boyfriend when my entire life revolved around my family? Every peso I earned went to rent, food, school supplies. There was no room for dates, no time for romance. It felt like a betrayal to my responsibilities. So, I did the hardest thing I'd ever done. I pushed him away. I told him I wasn't interested, that I was too busy with work and family. I made up flimsy excuses, avoided his gaze, and practically ran away from him. He kept trying, gently at first, leaving little notes on my desk, trying to talk to me during breaks. His eyes filled with confusion and hurt, but I built walls. I pretended I was annoyed by him again, just to keep him at bay. It was easier than explaining the impossible weight on my shoulders. One night, he finally confronted me, his voice low and hurt. Michelle, what did I do? Just tell me. My stomach twisted into knots. I couldn't tell him the truth, that he was too good for my complicated, burdened life, so I said something cold, something about how he misunderstood, that I only saw him as a colleague and nothing more. His face hardened, the light in his eyes dimming. He just nodded, turned around, and walked away, and that was it for 10 years. A decade passed like a blur. A decade of grinding, of late nights studying after shifts, of sacrificing every comfort, every personal desire. I worked like a machine. Fueled by the memory of my siblings' hopeful faces, I got my law degree, passed the bar on my first try, opened my own small firm, specializing in family law. My siblings were grown, some with their own families now. My mom was healthy, finally able to rest. I had achieved everything I set out to do. I was successful, independent, and finally, truly free from the obligations that once shackled me. But in achieving all that, I'd also unconsciously put my heart on hold. No serious relationships, just work, work, work. Then, the universe decided to play a cruel trick, or perhaps a hopeful one. A mutual friend called, needing legal advice for a complicated property case. I know just the lawyer. He said my friend Fred recommended you. My heart actually skipped a beat, a flutter I hadn't felt in years. Fred, after all this time, he was still connected to our old circle. The next day, he called. His voice was deeper, more mature, but still undeniably Fred. He thanked me for taking his friend's case and then, tentatively, "It's been a long time, Michelle. Maybe we could catch up over coffee." My stomach fluttered like it was 18 again, filled with a mix of nerves and excitement. We met at a quiet cafe near my office. He looked incredible, still had that easy smile, but there was a quiet confidence now, a settled maturity. We talked for hours, catching up on a decade of lost time, as if no time had passed at all. The old spark was still there, undeniable, even stronger than before. We laughed, we reminisced about our old call center days, and I felt that familiar warmth spread through me, a feeling I'd almost forgotten. After that coffee, we started seeing each other regularly. Dinners, late-night talks that stretched into the early hours, long walks in the park. It felt like a second chance, a continuation of the romance that was tragically cut short. He was everything I remembered, but better, thoughtful, kind, and still made me laugh until my sides hurt. We shared quiet moments, comfortable silences, and the easy intimacy that only comes from a deep, unspoken connection. I was so happy, truly, deeply happy. Finally, my turn for love. My family was settled, my career was thriving. I was ready. Ready for Fred, ready for us. I dared to dream again, to imagine a future with him, one without the burdens I once carried. We had planned to meet up at the mall that Saturday, a casual date. I was early, wanting to scout out the perfect coffee shop, maybe pick up a new blouse. I kept calling him, but his phone went straight to voicemail. Busy, I guess, I thought, smiling to myself. I was walking past a popular clothing store, casually, glancing at a display, when I saw them. Him, Fred, holding hands with a woman, a beautiful, younger woman, maybe 22. They were laughing, so close, so comfortable together. My breath hitched, my heart, which had been so full of joy moments before, plummeted to my stomach. I ducked behind a large display, my mind racing, trying to process what I was seeing, trying to make sense of it. No, it must be his sister, a cousin, a friend. I tried desperately to convince myself, but the way he looked at her, the way their fingers intertwined, the easy lean of her head on his shoulder, it wasn't just friendly, it was undeniably intimate. I watched them walk away, disappearing into the bustling crowd, a cold, hard knot tightening in my chest. I couldn't breathe. The perfect coffee shop I was looking for suddenly felt irrelevant. The entire mall felt suffocating, closing in on me. I went home, my mind a blank, my body numb. Sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. The next morning, I called him, my voice shaking despite my best efforts to control it. "Fred, we need to talk, now." He sounded surprised, then concerned. We met at a quiet park bench, the same one where we used to share our lunch breaks a decade ago. I didn't beat around the bush. "I saw you yesterday, Fred, at the mall, with that woman." He went pale, his eyes dropped from mine, refusing to meet. My gaze, the silence stretched, heavy and suffocating, filled with unspoken truths, and in that silence I knew, but I needed to hear it from him. I needed the final, shattering truth. He finally looked at me, his gaze filled with regret, almost pity. "Michelle," he started, his voice barely a whisper. "That was my wife, and we have a child together. A little girl. She's 5 now, I'm sorry. Wife, child." The words hit me like a physical blow. Worse than any argument. Worse than the pain of pushing him away a decade ago. This was total obliteration of all hope. All my rekindled dreams, my carefully constructed world, my triumphant life, crumbled around me. All those weeks of joy, of rekindled feelings, were built on a foundation of sand. I was just a ghost from his past, a fleeting moment of nostalgia for him. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I just nodded, a strange, hollow calm washing over me amidst the devastation. "I understand," I said, even though my heart was screaming that I didn't. Not really. How could he? I stood up, turned, and walked away. This time, there were no pleas, no desperate confrontations, no agonizing what-ifs. Just the cold, hard reality: our paths had crossed again. But our stories had irrevocably diverged long ago. The resolution wasn't a reunion, it was acceptance. Acceptance that some love stories are meant to be beautiful, poignant memories, cherished but left in the past, not continuing sagas that disrupt existing lives. It took time, a lot of time, to process the second heartbreak, to understand that my success, my freedom from past obligations, didn't automatically guarantee a happy ending with him. Life doesn't pause for your convenience. The biggest lesson? Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. While I was building my fortress of independence, Fred built his life, his family, and that's okay. People move on, as they should, when you can't join them. But I also learned that it's okay to yearn, to hope, to feel that crushing disappointment. It means you have a heart that can still love deeply, even after years of guarding it. And that heart deserves a future that is truly its own. Now, I'm slowly, tentatively, opening myself up again, not for a continuation of an old story, but for a brand new one written by me. For me, with no ghosts from the past, no lingering what-ifs, and that, I realize, is the true triumph. My success isn't just in my career, but in my ability to heal, to learn, and to believe in a future where I am loved, truly and completely, for who I am right now, this time, on my terms.